Hi, everybody. My name is Horsky. It's an honor being here with all the distinguished venture capitalists around me. I'm in the other side of the business. I make, market, and sell chocolate around the world. Working for the biggest chocolate company in the world called Monndelez International. We own brands that hopefully you all eat. Toblerone, Cadbury, Milka, Oreo, Tak, and Lou. And I'm responsible globally for our innovation on chocolate. So great to speak with you today about food innovation.
I would like to understand, do you see that we need to shift to have actually to ignore the quality and the food itself? I mean, I'm a French-born entrepreneur, and for me, food is emotion. For me, food is love. And we heard about, the quantity part of the food, but the demand grows also on the quality part of the food. So I would like to understand, how do you see this change of behaviors? I mean, if we speak about the change of behaviors, and we hope that the others will do the change, but not, by ourselves, it will be very, very tough. Do you think that the Western countries, the rich country in the world, do you think that they are ready to shift and to change food, really?
I want to answer about the quality of food.
Please.
For me, the question about the quality of food is complex, but actually it's quite an easy answer. 10, 20 years ago in the food industry, food manufacturers like the company I work for and our competitors, they dictated to consumers what they would eat. There would be 2 cereal companies, there would be 3 chocolate companies, and you can choose from them. And you had no choice, and you should choose one of the 3, and you could only buy them in the supermarket. That has changed, and today the consumer has the power to decide what is going to be on shelf. And if there's not what he or she wants on shelf, he's going to go and buy it directly through Amazon, somewhere else. And that's creating a big shift. So to your question, quality is going to go up. Not because necessarily all the companies want to take their quality up. They have a lot of cost pressures. It's going to go up because the consumer is demanding it. And if the manufacturers are not going to give it, the consumer is going to show them what it means. Great example, yogurt industry, the US. Turkish immigrant moves to upstate New York, goes and buys a failing factory from Kraft Foods. 10 years later, he's the biggest yogurt in the US. Chobani, he kicked ass. General Mills, Danone, all of them, sorry for the Danone guys, all of them is chasing his tail. I mean, I know some of the Danone guys are here, but it's true. And that happens industry after. Kind bars, all the different industries. It also happens in chocolate. So the manufacturers have to up their game. Otherwise, the consumer is going to vote, and it's going to be very painful. So that's happening in reality, and everybody understands. I think what we're seeing is the big guys are not moving as fast as they would want. They're still old, they have old processes, it takes them time, but the marketplace is forcing them to shift. So to answer the question, I'm certain quality is going to go up because that's what the consumer wants. But there's one big caveat. It can never come on the expense of taste. Consumers always say they want the healthiest food. Every survey we ever do, and then we go back into their house, we open the cupboard, it's all full of junk food, and we ask them, why do you have junk food? You just told me you eat healthy food. And they tell you, yes, but I need something tasty. Consumers want first and foremost tasty food, then healthy. Every market research that I've seen in my life proved that.
I would like now to speak about Israel. We are here in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and of course, I mean, we are all aware of the fantastic startup ecosystem. Without entering into details, I believe that with agri-tech and food tech, we have more than 500 startups in Israel. And I would like to ask you, what makes or can make Israel a champion into the agri-tech and food tech?
I'll talk about the food tech, and I think, again, talking part of the shifts we see in the industry, if you look historically in the past, innovation in the food industry was either flavor, was either packaging, or was either branding. Think about, again, go back to think about your breakfast cereals, things you eat every day, pastas. They've not changed in the last 20, 30 years fundamentally. What we're seeing now, the beginning of what people are starting to call food tech, we're seeing actually the last frontier of a mega giant industry that has not been disrupted by technology. And when I say technology, I don't mean selling it in the internet. I actually mean the fact that you can have cross-pollination, know-how coming from adjacent sciences in areas that so far have not entered the R&D pipeline of the food companies. So areas like genetics, biotech, pharma, big data, all these industries, 5 years ago, you would say the name of the industry in these industries in the food R&D department, and they'll roll your eyes as if you smoked pot, because they would not understand what it has to do with food. Today, actually, the biggest disruptions in food are coming from these industries. Now, for Israel, this is a perfect fit. Because Israelis are known to be agile. Israelis know how to smell the next territory. Let's face it, for any of the folks working here in biotech or pharma, it's a tough road, even tougher than food, longer years, more regulation, more R&D budget. As much as we're saying that food takes time, at the end of the day, you can get a food product 2 years in the market. If it's more complex, 3. So if you're an entrepreneur or a scientist coming from one of the adjacent sciences, such as biotech, pharma, etc., you're telling yourself, why the hell am I focused on that industry? Why am I not moving to food? And we're seeing that happening, obviously, in some of the hubs of Boston, San Francisco, the same Tel Aviv, Singapore. And that's clear that this shift is going to continue. You're going to see the next food innovations coming from these adjacent categories. And let's face it, Israel is probably one of the best hubs. And I would encourage people to do that shift. And I'll just say one final word about this is the criteria for big food companies, if they want to enter, let's say our company, if we decide to enter a new big innovation globally, we have a set of thresholds. One of the thresholds is, can this be a $200 million business in 3 years globally? Some of our competitors have a threshold of 100 million. Now tell me, if you're an entrepreneur in the room and you have an idea that is worth $98 million and none of the big guys want to touch it, wouldn't you go on it? That means every idea that is smaller than $100 million, the big guys on a global scale don't have an interest in. That's a huge space for entrepreneurs to go on, and I think you're seeing that happening in a lot of countries. Actually, there's a white space because the big guys don't want to go against these smaller ideas that are not really small.